Welcome everyone. We're going to get right into the stock market charts. This channel is all about stock market technical analysis, and really it's about, covering trade ideas. I point out ideas that I see in the charts. Everything on this channel is just my opinion, just my ideas. But again, I'm looking at the charts. I'm trying to point out these trade ideas, and that's what we're going to get right into. If you're new and you want to learn how to use technical analysis to really evaluate your own trade ideas and your own trade setups, take my course. Link is in the description below. It's a very good value. So let's get right into it. Triple Qs, we have a breakdown today, and so really what I'm seeing now, I actually reshorted it this morning, the Triple Qs, because the thing is, we had a breakdown the other day. Here's this trend line. I pointed it out. Now they temporarily shook me out of the trade on Friday because they gapped the thing up and really closed it right there above support, which was the level, which was about 333.75 or so. Today, though, they gap it down and they just come out selling pretty much all morning so far. So that's pretty impulsive. That, to me, continues to validate that I was actually right on that initial breakdown, and we're actually heading lower. So I see the next level of support at about 324.50 or so. That is going to be basically going back to this level right here. This was several areas of resistance back in the past. You can see all the tags of that resistance. I think it's very likely that we get right down to that level, and that's your next level of major support. So I would expect to bounce at that level. So I'm trading that as of right now. I'm short and full short position and looking to fade this thing down to that area of support. SPY, no breakdowns in the SPY. So again, this could just be a Qs thing. Maybe we're seeing this rotation right now where it's sell tech, long inflation stuff, right? So that'd be like materials, and that's commodities, and that's your iron companies and your gold companies, and kind of your physical material kind of companies that are dealing with producing products, raw products, basically, inputs, coffee and whatnot. So, and then we're seeing short tech. Let's go over to the tech stocks and look at all these. I want to point out Tesla. This is a sell signal today. I'm short Tesla as of right now. We'll see if we can get the daily close. But you've got this trend line right here on Tesla that it's just been walking up. And you can see we're just starting to break down intraday. So again, the day's not over. They could buy it back up and bring it back, hold that support. But as of right now, it looks good. Looks like the selling's there. The Triple Qs is weak, and I'm seeing weakness and breakdowns in a lot of the other tech stocks. So I think this is going to end up being a sell signal in Tesla. And we'll likely run down to the 200-day moving average, bounce off of that. But ultimately, I see it's coming down to about 460, which is basically former resistance right in here. And then Tesla, if it really wants to get going to the downside, it could potentially fall all the way down here at about 130. All right, that would be probably my final target if it's gonna roll over that much. Again, that's not going to happen all at once. That's going to take time, and there will be lots of pretty impulsive bounces along the way. So we're just watching, the 200-day right there. It's about 577, and then the 460 area is the next level of major support. Carvana, I want to point that out. So we're right at the 200-day moving average and this kind of temporary level of support, about 240.70. So, if you're in this, you could take profits here, kind of cover a short trade. I mean, this thing fell straight down. The last 4 days have just been, straight down. But it's right into some support right here. So maybe we get a little bit of a bounce and then break. Again, watch what the market does, because if this just slices right through, if you start to see impulsive selling around this level, then it's very, that increases the probability that we're going to run all the way down to this 175 area. But this would be the area that I'd expect to bounce. So what I did is I covered my Carvana short right here, and then I'll just reshort it if we start to see more impulsive selling where this 200 doesn't really hold up and it just breaks. All right, if we hold, then maybe we get a bounce, and there might be a better opportunity to reshort this thing for that move down to about 175. Chewy continuing to break down today. Now here's, this is a daily chart, so the day's not over. The buyers could step in at any moment and rally this thing up. So you have to, when you're looking at a daily chart, you really have to understand that it's all about how the market closes, and anything can happen throughout the day. So that's kind of what you want to keep an eye on, is how's the market behaving throughout the day. Do they start to bid it up and rally, and do they make it, do they get a recovery? If they do, that's bullish. You have to read that as bullish because it was breaking down and the buyer stepped in. And that's a false breakdown, basically. But if it continues to sell off as it looks right now, then I see Chewy coming down, probably down to about this 53.30 area. That's the next level that I see as some major support. So far looks good. I am short this one and continuing to just let it, run down. Watching that one. AMD continues to sell off. I don't really need this trend line right here anymore, so we'll just get rid of that. At this point, I'm really just watching this key level of about 73.75. You can see that's a major level of support. If we break into that, I really think it's going to be a quick move down to, about 59 bucks. I like it. Continues to look good. The reason why I like it short is you had this nice clean uptrend line back from 2016, and it was just, AMD continued to trend higher, but we broke trend right here. So there's your break of trend. There's your back test. There's kind of a second back test. They didn't quite get all, the seller stepped in early. And now it's heading back down to this area of support, which is about this 73, 75 area. You break that, I think you fill this zone. See how thin, that's a thin zone where there was really no trading. It just ran right through there. So I think once you break, and there's gaps along the way. So I think once you break down, you get down to the bottom of that zone. And that would be an area, that would be a major area of support. Again, we had negative divergence continuing to build. So it was all, the chart had all the information we needed telling us that this was likely going to go lower. And now I'm just looking for price to continue lower. 59, that's my target right now. You'll see here Qualcomm breaking down. We had this slight on the daily chart, this little uptrend line right here, and we're getting an impulsive sell signal on the daily chart so far. So that's a sell signal. That's another breakdown. We had this gap right here. That's probably the end of the road for today, is right around 120, I would say probably right around 129.50. But again, we're breaking down, so I think it's likely that we're going to, move our way down to the next level of support on Qualcomm. And again, that would be consistent with tech selling off. And that's right around 110, right in that area. And then there's a gap all the way down here at 92. It's at about 94. All right, so that would be a final target, 94. But again, it looks like Qualcomm's starting to continue to work its way lower. And again, Qualcomm, well, here's your uptrend in Qualcomm. This is going back to March 2020 lows. Here's your uptrend line. We saw the divergent high, see the negative divergence right there showed up. And this was the sell, that was your sell signal right there. I have it circled. I talked about it back then on February 3rd, that this was a clear sign to short. And so I see a new downtrend. I see the first leg down, you get a kind of counter trend bounce, and then you continue the trend down. So yeah, I think 94 is coming up in the near future. Snap continuing to work its way lower. Again, Snap is in a downtrend. I've talked about this. Here's your downtrend right here. I have it marked out, this kind of downward channel. I think we're heading down to the bottom of the channel. The 200-day moving average is right down there too. So that's an area where you're likely going to find some level of support. And right now it's going to probably fall about 45 bucks. But ultimately, I see this big gap right here on Snap. And I think we work our way down and start to fill that gap. Maybe they get down in this, halfway gap point around 31.75 or something like that. I'll be looking to probably cover a short trade. I am short Snap, and I'll be looking to cover as we start to enter that gap. All right, so that's the trade. It continues to work. I'm staying short on that one. DraftKings has another sell signal. You can see here on DraftKings, you've got this uptrend line right here on the daily. We had a reaction here, reaction here, reaction here. And then basically we gap down and we're selling down. Now the day's not over. They could rally this thing up, but as of right now, it looks like a sell signal. To me, I don't see a lot of support on DraftKings. You have a little bit of support right here at about 30.70. Below that, the next level of support is really all the way down here at about 20 bucks. It's about 18.67 or so. That's a pretty big fall if we're going to get that. And again, it's not going to happen all at once, most likely. But again, these things went parabolic in 2020. So I think to come down quite a bit is completely plausible. And here's SQ. SQ has not broken yet, but here's your daily chart right here. And you can see this trend line, right, that SQ's been walking up. You've got several reactions. You've got, 5 reactions basically. We're tagging it right now. So as I zoom in, you can see we're just starting to break. So keep an eye on SQ. Does the selling get impulsive right here? Does it start to sell down impulsively? If it does, that's your sell signal. That's your, that's what you're looking for to short a stock, is an impulsive break of trend line support. Now you do have the 200-day right below, so this one could be a little tricky, but I could see it breaking, hitting the 200. Maybe we bounce back up. There's lots that can happen, but again, you have this trend line, and if it breaks, then I think we're likely going down, ultimately down to 135.60, and potentially you've got major support right down here at 83.93, call it 84. That's a major level of support. So if this really wants to come down, that would be the area where I would definitely close out any short trade that I had. So again, I'm watching this one. If the selling starts to get impulsive right here and now, today, then I'll probably short this thing. And lift. So again, I'm short this. I've talked about this one. Very clean trade right now. This has a very clean setup. And, these are the kind of setups that are, it's just the best kind of setup that you want to see. So you'll see here on the daily chart, nice clean uptrend channel right there. We put in negative divergence, started to build that negative divergence. And we broke trend. So there's an impulsive breakdown. That's a sell signal. That's what it looks like. All right. So keep an eye, just want to point that out. You'll be able to reproduce this on other charts. When you see it, this is what it should look like. Nice impulsive selling. You don't want to see something that just closes right below the trend line. It's just kind of right there. You want to see the sellers, many people, many traders recognize this as a sell signal and sell or short. And so that's what that is. And then you gap down, you kind of flag out. Looks like you're continuing lower to me. So as far as I can tell, we're running right down to the 200-day moving average, about 43.70. That's an area of support. So I would expect to bounce right there. So likely I'll probably cover my short trade down in this area, looking for some sort of a counter trend bounce. And then, and then we'll look for the opportunity to re-short it. But as of right now, just a move down to there is another 10% or so. And really from the breakdown, which is, on the sell signals where I took it, this would be a trade of about 21% to the downside. So very good short trade if it continues working. And the gold miners, you can see here, I just flipped over to some of these gold miners. They're all hanging in there. They're all holding up. You can see gold up, gold bullion up another $6 or so. Now it's at the 200-day, the 200-day is right here. So it's going to have to battle through that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get, I could see us even getting a pullback all the way down to this trend line, about 1780, 1790, retesting that level. That's completely plausible. And, it doesn't have to happen, but it could. And if it does, I'm going to probably look at that as an opportunity to add to some gold mining positions on a retest of major support. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this right now. The miners are still hanging in there today. But again, if gold starts to sell off and retest at 1790, you're going to see a pullback in these miners. They've all had a pretty good run in the short term. You can see like Barrick Gold. Just in the short term, in the last few days, it's up 14%, basically in a week and a half. So they've run pretty hard. The RSI's starting to get, pretty overbought. And so, I think it's at the 200-day too, just slightly below. But again, we don't, I'm not gonna sell these or cover. I'm not gonna sell my longs on the gold miners because I think the miners and gold is starting to break out to the upside. So pullbacks I'm gonna view as opportunities to add to positions until proven wrong. That's how I'm gonna treat these. And we'll wrap up with the VIX. Not a lot of volatility today. The VIX is up 5-6%. That's really nothing. We're not seeing a surge in volatility. So, as of right now, I kind of, I'm not really interested in being long the VIX quite yet. I want to see the SPY start to show signs that it's going to sell off. And what I'm seeing right now is really just a rotation out of tech, especially these high-flying tech stocks and into those material stocks. We do have a little bit of bullish divergence showing up on the VIX. Not a reason to necessarily buy, though. And you've got, right now, we're just kind of right in between what I see as a range. Top of the range on the VIX is about 21.90, and then bottom of the range is about 11.70. And that's it. We're just right in the middle of the range. Oh, one thing I want to point out real quick is these FANG stocks. So let's look at Apple. Again, this, if you look at Apple and you really want to break it down, we had a divergent high right here. All right, this, I have it circled. That was a lower high in momentum. See the peak right there in momentum, how it was much lower than the former peak right here. There's your former high. There's your former high in momentum. Here's your new high in price. Here's your lower high in momentum. So that's a divergent high. Momentum was not able to, make a new high. And that so far has been the top in Apple. It doesn't have to continue to be the top, but if likely one of these divergent highs is going to be the top for not just a period of a month or two. It's going to be a longer term top. So could be this one. We don't know. But you can see we're continuing to kind of work our way. Right now we're just sideways, but I think we're going to head a little lower in Apple, starting to break down. Just this, here was your uptrend line right there. We had the divergence. We broke kind of a back test, but I think we're likely going to make our way down to probably the next level of support, which I see at about 106.15. So yeah, watch that. Weakness in Apple today. Amazon, again, selling down to the 200-day moving average. And again, this high right up here that we just recently made, I'll circle it right, if I can get the right tool. That high right there, that was a divergent high. See the momentum right there? See how it's less on a slightly new higher price? It just eked out, a new high, barely. And divergent high, and we've been selling off ever since that divergent high. We're at the 200 days, so we're probably going to, get a bounce here. We'll see. But continues to look like Amazon is just struggling to go up. Each new divergent high gets sold into, and if you really kind of roll back, going all the way back to almost a year ago, Amazon's really just gone sideways. It's not going up anymore. It's just going sideways. It just runs up, makes a slightly new high, sells off down to the bottom of the range, runs up, make a slightly new high, sells off. Sideways price action. And if Amazon's not moving up, it's gonna be a drag on the market. Google's still been moving up. So here's an uptrend line in Google. Now here is a slightly, that's your divergent high, and so far we're failing. So Google, if the FANGs are going to sell off, Google's likely going to sell off to the bottom of the channel. And then, for a sell signal on Google, I'd like to see a break of that trend, a break of this trend line to the downside. Till you get that, Google's still in an uptrend. No reason to, get super negative on that one. And then Microsoft still looks relatively bullish as well. It's still uptrending. We did just recently make a new divergent high right here, and you'll see here in the momentum, it was a lower high in momentum right there, and so that's a divergent high. So if Microsoft wants to break, could come all the way down to 188.20, which is a little bit of a longer trend line right there. You can see all the reactions, and yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen or where it's going to go, but we'll just need to watch, continue to watch the rest of the markets and see how things trade out. So that's all I got for this morning, guys. I'm going to get the video out there. It's really my thoughts. Leave me a thumbs up on your way out. I do appreciate that. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye.